Right, might as well get started. Greetings and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this meeting. It's a community outreach meeting to discuss the Bunker Hill Parcel Group 5 area that you've all been working on in your community for many years. TrueMark, my name is Garrett Hines. I'm the Director of Architecture with TrueMark Homes. And this is our first chance to really reach out and communicate to the community at large. But we know that you've been working on this through a CEQA process and specific plan and design and planning in many meetings for many years. And so it's our chance to introduce ourselves. Let me tell you a little bit about TrueMark Homes. We are based in San Ramon, California is our headquarters. We also have an office in Southern California. We've been developing land and building homes up and down the state of California for over 3 decades. In 2016, we were honored with a Gold Nugget Award for Master Plan Community of the Year in Dublin, California, a community called Wallace Ranch. That was a great feather in our cap. And in 2018, Professional Builder Magazine named us the Home Builder of the Year nationwide. And I bring this up simply just to show that we care about what we do, we love what we do, and we want to work with the community to create something that lasts forever and is really a benefit to your community. So again, the purpose tonight is really to introduce ourselves. It's our first chance to reach out to everyone. And as we communicate, just want to get up to speed with where we are in the process and communicate what lies ahead. Let's talk about the meeting format here real quick. So, this is a virtual meeting, of course, the new normal these days. And so we just want to, instead of meeting like we normally would be in a community center or a church room, introducing ourselves to you, this is a little different. So we have a PowerPoint presentation. I'd really appreciate, I'll run through the project as it stands today for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're going to open it up to questions. On the lower right corner of your screen, you should see a Q&A button. And at any time during this meeting, during my presentation, you can start typing in questions. And we have a panelist of our team members who will answer questions that they can. Any questions that need a little further discussion or information, we'll save to the end and we'll go through all those questions. We've set aside a whole hour. It's usually what a community meeting takes, neighborhood outreach meeting, and we'll run through the questions. Any questions that we don't have solid answers to, we will circle back with the group. This meeting is also being taped and it will be shared with the city leaders and your city planners and other administrators. So it's a transparent situation and meeting. And we'll just keep track of the questions and communicate and keep this going because we have a lot of meetings ahead. There'll be more chances to communicate with you. Not to mention planning commission hearings and city council hearings. So it's just a first meeting of many to communicate how we're going about this. With that, I'll jump into a little bit about the project. Well, first let me introduce the panel here. The project director from TrueMark Homes, Heidi Antonescu, is on. Trevor Brown, a project coordinator. The design team is civil engineers McKay and Somps out of Pleasanton, and Jill Williams is the project architect of KTGY Architects in Oakland, and Gates Associates, Rusty Case is on with us. He's the project landscape architect. So questions that I can answer, I have the design team here available. So as you know, as I've stated, this Bunker Hill was going to be a freeway, the 238. It didn't happen. Caltrans gave the land back to the city of Hayward. You've all been working on what to do with this, and you've come up with a terrific plan to build 74 single-family homes on this beautiful ridgetop with an existing street, some old utilities, and other opportunities. And the plan has been laid out for us. So your city went through a request for proposal and qualifications process open to all builders and developers, and the city leaders honored TrueMark with the opportunity to take this forward. And we're thrilled to be here, and we intend to deliver exactly what the plan has stated and been put together so far. So I hope that's what I'm going to show you. Again, I'll run through some slides. Again, TrueMark, been doing this for 3 decades, and we look forward to building high quality homes in your community that we think you've already established the vision for. Just to reference the site, it stretches north to south between Carlos B to the north and Harder to the south, with some riparian corridors at each end. The university is right behind us on the upper side of the ridge, and then sweeping bay views to the west. And the streets below us, Maitland, Central, and Western, an existing neighborhood that we'll talk about how we intend to integrate into that neighborhood. Again, we're proposing the plan that was given to us pretty much by your city staff, and the intent is to develop 74 homes on 74 lots. There are 3 different conditions of these lots, and I'll talk about those a little more. Some are uphill, some go downhill, and some are flat lots. My cursor here to the right will show, Central Boulevard is the existing connection to Bunker Hill Boulevard. We are eagerly working with your city staff, and the university are working to try to get a connection to Carlos B. That would be ideal for all of us, not just for future residents and circulation and to take traffic out of this existing neighborhood, but also for future construction operations, and all kinds of things can benefit from this connection, which we are working on. This is the existing condition of Bunker Hill Boulevard. As you can see, we have an uphill slope to the right side, and then the bay and the downhill slope to the left side. Our intentions are to fully improve this street and make it right now it's only about 15 feet wide. We would take it to roughly a 22-foot wide, 2 travel lanes for ease of traffic in both directions. We would add guest parking along one side of the street and a sidewalk for safe pedestrian circulation. The overhead power lines would go underground, and we are upgrading the sewer and other services, water, sewer, joint trench, all the services that you'd find typically in a new community, new development would be going into the street section. We've been studying the geology of the site and other nuances for the site, and we really want to try to minimize the overall grading. So this existing street location is really ideal. It was done right in the first place, and it's location-wise. So by working with this existing alignment helps us minimize grading and disturbing other things, especially the riparian corridors at each end. We don't want to touch those at all. We want to leave those exactly how they are. Here's another view with an existing resident on the uphill side, which we intend to blend into. So let me go back and talk about the architecture and how we intend to blend into the hillside. Again, we have an uphill condition shown here on the right and a downhill condition on the left. So for the right side, the uphill condition, we have the opportunity to build 3-story homes, essentially with a garage and a basement on the ground floor, living on the 2nd floor, and bedrooms on the 3rd floor. This would be in the uphill condition where we were not blocking anybody's views. And the garage and the downstairs area nestles into the hill. So the home is actually holding up 10 feet of grade on this uphill condition. On the opposite side of the street, shown here on the left side where it's falling down the hill, we call these downhill lots. And here it's a 1-story element from the street. So the existing neighbors that live on the right side or our new homes will look over these homes and have unobstructed bay views. It'll be a low, your living level and garage will be here on this street level, and then the bedrooms are tucked underneath, and again, take up 10 feet of grade underneath. So again, we're trying to minimize grading and nestle these homes into the hillside. As far as the floor plans go, again, like I said, on the downhill homes, you have my cursor's over the garage, kitchen, and living areas with a bedroom. Then you go down the hill, downstairs, to lower bedrooms and terraces. And as you can see, we have terraces on these downhill lots with minimal yards. So that it's really, it's a sloped hill, so there's not really a flat yard to take advantage of. So terraces and the home itself are what's nestled into the hill. This is a second floor plan to be used on the downhill condition. On the uphill condition, again, it's a garage and a basement element on the first floor. In these cases, we have 34 uphill lots. These uphill conditions allow us in this basement area next to the garage to create an accessory dwelling unit, also known as an ADU. These accessory dwelling units, there'd be 34 of them. We have a studio and a 1-bedroom condition based on 2 different floor plans. I'll touch on the importance of those in a moment. Coming up the stairs, you come to the living level with kitchen, living, dining, and a bedroom, courtyard that does go out to a backyard that's tucked into the hill. And then on the upper level are bedrooms. And we have 2 different floor plans for this uphill condition. And then finally, of the 74 lots, 8 of them actually are a traditional flat lot where we have a traditional 2-story home. This condition, this home, it's a 2-story home, 3-car garage. Every home we're proposing at least has a 2-car garage. This one has a 3-car garage. The 8 flat lots and the 34 uphill lots all have full driveway aprons to park more cars. And then, like I mentioned earlier, one side of the entire new Bunker Hill Street will have parking bays on each lot to add more guest parking and make sure that parking doesn't spill down into the lower neighborhoods. This is kind of a landscape plan that shows street trees. And what we're trying to demonstrate here is that it's really homes and trees and the streets are the conditions that are being improved. The slope, the beige color slopes are intended to remain as natural as can be. We do have new home lots down on Maitland. Maitland will also receive improved streets, parking bays, and utilities, sewer, water, and those sewer and water utilities also curve along this lower section of Central and connect up to Bunker Hill. So the utilities, undergrounding of power lines, fresh new utilities, and street improvements will continue all the way through here. And again, we're working very hard with the university and the city to help make this Carlos B connection happen, because we know that during construction, we don't want big trucks and disruption in this lower neighborhoods. We're going to do everything we can, even working on a temporary construction access off of Carlos B, so that we minimize traffic impacts and other nuisances to our residents to the south. To touch on go over some details before we open it up for questions. Again, 74 single-family detached homes. They range from 2,800 to about 3,400 square feet, 3 and 4 bedrooms, 2 and 3-car garages. We are going to also, let me go back to the site plan. We are also creating a public trail. It's about an acre of land that connects Bunker Hill Boulevard to this kind of existing beaten trail behind the ball fields that will link along the back, along this property line between the lots and the university, create this kind of off-street public trail that will then connect all the way to Carlos B and connect to the university. So an integrated pedestrian safe trail environment. We also, again, we're maintaining and saving all the riparian corridors to the north and to the south area. Those are great amenities, and we don't want to mess with those. And we are introducing a couple water quality basins, one at the north end and one at the south end. It's required these days in California to treat the water and restore and clean and treat the water before you put it back into the system. So rainwater that lands on the roofs or on the streets or in driveways are collected and treated in these basins before they get put back into the water table. Again, let's go over just the improvements that affect most of our neighbors. New wider streets, on-street guest parking, new sidewalks, public trail. We will annex into the geologic hazard assessment district. Our residents will pay into that. We will upgrade the utilities and complete a housing opportunity that you all have been working on for many years. The process ahead, we intend to submit our application. We're going to listen to your comments and feedback and make some tweaks to the plan, but we intend to submit our first pass in August of this year. We hope to be in front of Planning Commission in March of 2021. Between then and now, we'll probably have more of these neighborhood meetings. And we always intend to work with our neighbors and communicate from now all the way through construction. So if you live across town, you can communicate with us. If you're our nearby neighbor, we're going to communicate with you on a weekly basis to let you know what's going on the construction side of things. City Council would be April of 2021, hopefully, and that would give us our entitlements. From there, we would start our improvement plans and final maps, which can take 9 to 12 months to work through those. We might be able to start grading ahead of time, but really breaking ground and starting site improvements is looking April of 2022, with our first home sales January of 2023. So that's a big picture outline of the process and the schedule moving forward to make this come true. Again, we pride ourselves on communicating with our neighbors. Here's my contact information, Garrett Hines and Heidi's project director, and we're always available, email, and we will address what we can. So with that, I hope we've gathered some questions. I hope I've at least tipped the iceberg on how we're going to communicate and the direction we're going, and I hope you find it exactly as you've seen coming for many years. So with that, I don't see any questions on the screen, Trevor. I don't know if something else I need to do.
No, you should be. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
There should be a Q&A thing. You don't see it under there?
No, maybe I have to turn off the presentation, or
you should be able to
sharing my screen.
Yeah, and I can just read. Yeah, or I can read them to you.
Oh, okay. Well, we can do that.
Let's see. So there's some comments, and then there's also some questions. Hi, everyone. I'm Trevor. So it says still there's no alternative access to development and a fire hazard. I don't know. Well, that's not. Let me start with the questions, and then we can get into the comments.
Sure.
We were informed that the average square footage of the homes would be 3,500 square feet, some smaller and some larger, average of 3,500 square feet. Is this true?
That's a little larger. Right now we're 2,800 to about 3,400 square feet. And that's where we feel good about the home sizes. So the average is probably closer to 3,200 square feet.
We thought there would only be, the ADU would only be 8. There would only
be there are eight of the 34 ADUs will be deed restricted to satisfy the below market rate housing ordinance. But it's a benefit to your community to have 34 accessory dwelling units available. It helps your RENA numbers and other benefits to the community. And they don't need to be rented. There's no requirement that the ADUs are rented. They could be used for your boomerang children that come home from college that need a place to live while they get on their feet. They could be a family member. So they don't have to be rented, but they're available to your community. 8 of them will be deed restricted to meet the below market rate ordinance.
Next one, are there any floor plans that would accommodate for a disabled person or a person needing a wheelchair to get around?
Yes, so the downhill lots, there are 32 downhill lots, and our 8 flat homes all have bedrooms on that main level and can accommodate flush entries and other ways to, a handicapped person can't get to every bedroom in the house, but the main living level of 40 of these 74 homes will have a bedroom on the first floor.
What will be the setbacks for each property?
For the uphill homes and the flat lot homes, I can maybe go to these. We have, right here is about an 18-foot setback to the street. On the downhill homes, we have 5 feet to the garage face and about 8 feet to the home. And again, we're trying to be sensitive to the grading. And so by pulling the home closer to the road on the downhill side, it helps us minimize grading and having the homes hang and expose the underside of the home to the lower community. So that's why we purposefully, by design, have pulled the home closer to the street on the west side of Bunker Hill Boulevard. The flat lot homes have an 18-foot front setback.
Has parcel 5 been rezoned yet? If so, what's the current zoning? If not, then will the rezoning be considered by the city of Hayward?
Good question. The current zoning is RNP, Residential Nature Preserve, with SD7 overlay for Foothill Trail. The proposed zoning, which will be a PD amendment that goes through Planning Commission and City Council, would be allowed to allow 5 to 10,000 square foot lots. And that's always been anticipated in the years of specific plan processing.
Are there 17 homes on Maitland? Are they part or more than Bunker Hill?
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, there are 17 homes on the uphill side of Maitland. Those are part of the 74 total lots. I hope that answered the question.
Is there any plan to do something with the 2 lots on the corner of Harder and Westview?
Not at this time. The grading there at Harder is very steep, and it has not been anticipated to work with that. Heidi or Jim, if you have a different answer, feel free to chime in, but not at this time, as far as I know.
Hi, this is Heidi Antonescu with TrueMark.
Hi, Heidi.
Let me unclick my video. Hi. No, currently there are no plans to expand the number of units and add anything down to that area. And again, it's because of the grades and the improvements.
Thanks, Heidi.
Next, will this development have security services during construction? Will there be a secure entry such as they have at Stonebrae?
Yes, I'll say yes, that we will secure the site during construction. And whether it's gates or guards, we kind of take it on a case-by-case basis. But yes, the site will be secured.
How will Central Boulevard below development accommodate the massive increase in traffic?
So the CEQA studies have already been done and found that the traffic from the 74 homes will not severely impact the Central Avenue and lower neighborhood. However, regardless of that, like I said, we are doing everything we can to work with the university to allow a connection to Carlos B, which would relieve all traffic. It would allow the lower neighborhood to cut through this neighborhood, and this neighborhood's always going to go west. They're going to prefer probably to go through Maitland and Central and the neighborhoods, and it's been anticipated. But the relief valve to Carlos B would be great for all of us.
Somebody please show the home plans again for the upper hillside.
Sure. So again, the images on the screen show the uphill side. And here, this is a rendering of what they would look like from Bunker Hill Boulevard. And again, by going vertical, we don't have to spread and dig into the hill as much. So this is lower impact for grading. And it also takes advantage of the views by putting these living levels above the homes on the lower side of the street so that everybody gets bay views. The plans, if that was the question, here's one of the uphill plans. The middle floor plan shown here is the lower level, is the garage and accessory dwelling unit and full driveway apron. Then on the left side here is the second floor with the kitchen in the back, dining, great room, covered outdoor room, and a bedroom, bathroom. And then over here to the right is the upper floor. On this case, it's a larger upper floor with a master bedroom, master bath, and 2 secondary bedrooms. The second plan for the uphill size has a much smaller third floor with only 2 bedrooms because we put the master suite on the main level. Hope that answers your question.
Who with TrueMark is here on the call, and can we get a copy of the presentation after?
We will. I'll let Heidi work with staff on how they want to release the presentation. I'm happy to share it with staff, and we'll go from there. But I'll follow staff's lead. We're about to make a submittal, so we still plan on listening to comments and feedback. And between now and August, we would make a formal submittal. And so this is what we have today.
What is the anticipated price point of the homes?
You know, they're going to sell for whatever the market bears at the time. So for today, I can say they're $1 million homes. They're going to be 1.2. Hard to say. So I'd say right now we're talking $1 million homes.
Let's see. What are you going to do to not cause an earthquake when you disturb tons of dirt, trees, and rocks, and then put more weight on top of the hill?
We are working very closely with geologists and specialists that address the weight loads. We're studying it, every way, sideways. There have been homes up here before. It is sitting on a large bedrock shelf, and we know we're near a fault zone. So we take all of that into factors and address it. Maybe Jim or Jacqueline from McCain Soms could say something a little more scientific, but.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Garrett. What you mentioned is that we are working with the project geologist who has done many projects in the Hayward Hills, other projects in there, so they're familiar with the geology, working with them to stabilize and make sure that everything we do actually makes a safer situation for not only the residents you're building, but the existing residents.
When will TrueMark apply for rezoning?
Our formal application will go in August of this year, so next month.
The Hayward General Plan calls for new architecture to blend into the existing. How do you feel you're accomplishing this, i.e. the cookie cutter homes you are proposing?
Well, I certainly don't call them cookie cutter. I think we have a lot of undulation and form and massing and interest, and we do drive the communities we build in and take notes and details, whether they're arches or different roof forms. We have a lot of variety. This is, again, we're by design trying to stay low, and I'll just leave it at that. Low on this side of the street versus on the uphill side of the street. We take cues from other parts and other homes in the community, and it's also today's styles. I try to work into a California vernacular of architecture. Some communities you go drive down the street and it's Mediterranean architecture or Italianate, and no, this is California. I'd like to bring forward authentic Hayward, California architectural elements that will be well received, whether it's horizontal or vertical board and batten, stonework, and interesting windows, interesting gables, interesting shapes, corbels, all kinds of details that we have fun with in architecture. Jill Williams from KGGY is on the phone. She can add to that if she'd like. Okay.
Well, I would just, if I can, thanks, Garrett. Yeah, I would just say we're so early on, still in the architecture, right? You can see we just have started doing these couple 3D models to start to study what could happen, right? You're seeing 2 elevations that happen for the uphills and 2 for the downhills. There's certainly a lot more design to come, but this is very much an effort between the grading and, as Garrett described, looking to not disturb too much. So really the team working together to create this, and we'll be getting more into the architectural style and the detailing as this carries forward.
Thanks, Joe.
The next question, they spoke of connecting the trail down to the corner of Harder and Westview. Is that still happening?
So not exactly, no. And maybe Heidi can explain how we got to this point, but if you can see my cursor, the trail connects from right here. So, you can walk, well, we're not going to be able to connect to Harder here, but from Central, you can come up and then connect to this opening. And maybe Heidi or Jim can explain why that is exactly right there. And then the trail will go all along this back, along the university, and connect then down to Carlos B.
We met with HARD, the Hayward Area Recreation District, and spoke to them about the trail. And we discussed a connection to Harder Road, and we looked at that. We don't know at this point if it's feasible because of the steepness and the grades of that go down to Harder Road. It could make it very difficult, and we're not sure at this point if it's possible. So we are looking at that option, but at this point we don't have an answer to that yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Jim or Jackie have any more that they want to add to that, but that's where we are.
Yeah, Heidi, you hit that perfectly. Just adding one point, that Harder Road doesn't have a sidewalk on it currently, so it also didn't make much logical sense to connect the trail to somewhere that didn't have a sidewalk. But like you said, we are still looking into the best connection points.
Okay. Let's see. Many of the original hopes and thoughts for the exteriors involved mixing size and look to create more than cookie cutter look that has been built elsewhere. Has this been expressed to you, and what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are we're not proposing cookie cutter architecture at all. And no, I don't want to build cookie cutter architecture. And we will work with staff to direct us and the community at large to bring forward high quality architecture, which we believe we are. And to support Jill, we've shown a couple renderings and a couple elevations, and that's just a snapshot of the entire block. So I think the idea is that as you're driving the street, you're going to see ins and outs and variety and quality.
Will Central Boulevard be widened to accommodate two-way traffic and parking on one side of the street? If yes, where?
Jim or Jackie, can you help me out on that one? I know here's the central section that we're relating to. I don't know where the extents are beyond that at this time, or if staff has given us an exact extents. I'm not sure.
That's exactly right. We're still working with staff, and I think that will come out of our first submittal in as to what and where quote offsite improvements that we'll need to be working with it to enhance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, we're going to submit next month, and it really initiates all the departments to review every piece of paper, think through every improvement that's necessary, and those then get wrapped into what are called conditions of approval that when it goes to Planning Commission, City Council, as they approve what's drawn on plan, is merged with a dialogue of conditions of approval that you will improve this, you will change this, you will do this. So that's all will start in August and work for the next many months.
One thing I do want to add is we have had some initial conversations with the fire department and
Okay.
some of the, so we're working with those guys also to make sure that we enhance the streets to meet their requirements, especially, you know, along Bunker Hill and Carlos B and some of that stuff. So we're working with those guys to get, in addition to staff, also fire department, to address some of that stuff.
Excellent.
Are sidewalks still planned for only one side of each of the streets? That's similar.
Yes. Again, when you're developing on a hillside, every inch of flat land that you try to squeeze into the hillside causes more grading and causes a ripple effect of impacts to the existing condition. So with 74 homes, a sidewalk on one side and guest parking on one side of the street is adequate and minimizes the footprint of impact.
How will the pending zoning change affect the 4 existing property owners in their current lot configurations within Parcel 5?
Well, that's a good question. Heidi, has this come up with you on? I don't know that it affects them in a negative way.
Whoops. Hi there, sorry, my video didn't work. The change in our zoning for Parcel 5 will not change the zoning on those particular properties because those properties are excluded from our property boundaries.
Excellent.
And I have had this discussion with 1 or 2 property owners and the city. So we've shared this information with them. This was about 2 months ago. And we had that discussion. So unfortunately, the new zoning will not affect those existing homes.
Thank you.
Aren't you 100 feet near the Hayward Fault?
Well, Jim, what do you think?
I'm sorry, Carol, can you repeat the question?
Aren't you 100 feet near the Hayward Fault?
I don't know the exact distances, but we have been working with the city's consultants, which was NGO, which is an outside soils firm, on terms of the setback requirements and for all the faults. And we're set up to do some additional studies just to verify what NGO has done.
I'd like to just expand on that, if I may. We've had fault studies done, and our development is set back with the required setbacks from that fault line.
Does that price point include the smallest homes that would not likely meet affordable housing requests by the city?
Well, yes. I mean, yeah, the home and the accessory dwelling unit are all in one, under one roof. It's one property. And at this time, I would venture that these are going to be start in the, okay, maybe they start in the 900s, but they're going to be in the $1 million range.
Why is Trumark now building 31 or 34 ADUs instead of the city of Hayward's requirement of 8? That's only going to increase traffic in the neighborhood.
Because it's, we think it's a good thing to do. And it's just a bedroom. It's like building you can build a 5-bedroom home, or you can build a 4-bedroom home with an accessory dwelling unit. And it allows the homeowner to, if they want to rent a home next to a university to a student or a professor or a school teacher or police officer or firefighter, you have that opportunity. When your kids go away to college, you can have some additional income and have someone move in. It's a great need and a way to provide more housing. I mean, heck, the state of California wants you to build accessory dwelling units these days. So the fact that we're putting 34 in, we think is a good thing.
It looks like the new homes will have power lines buried. Will you do this for the residents below?
At this time, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to underground the power lines on Bunker Hill Boulevard, Maitland, and the section of Central. Or Heidi, please clarify. I don't know the exact extents, and I don't know if that's been determined by staff yet.
So if I may, all the overhead power lines along Bunker Hill Road up in that section will be underground, and of course any new development power will be underground as well. As far as the existing power overheads on Maitland Road, that is still to be determined. We do not know at this point if it's a requirement or necessary for that. So that's something, again, that will be discussed and determined as we process our project through the city.
Are the homes somewhat going to look like what's on Central and Del Mar?
No. I don't know if I understand the question exactly, but these are the homes we're proposing, that they would look something like this. It's a first pass, and we'll continue to develop the architecture working with staff.
Will you be omitting fences between the new houses?
At this time, I'm hoping not to put up fences. I know we have some corridors for animals, to pass through, let nature pass through. And again, the small yards for the 34 uphill homes, you really have a slope bank, so maybe somebody might want to fence in their patio area, but I don't intend to put fences on all the property lines. The 8 flat lots, those could have good neighbor fences. That might make sense. The downhill lots, at this time, I don't think we're intending on putting fences down there. That could change, and buyers may have the right to do that in the future. Heidi or Jim, correct me if I'm wrong.
Derek, based on everything we've discussed today, you are correct. That's what we've been talking about, yeah.
So next question, the trail will not be on top of Bunker Hill property, but downwards towards CSU?
Heidi, as far as I know, it's on our property.
The trail is within our property boundaries, and then there's a couple areas that we could show on the exhibit that once we get there, I can have you see the cursors. Whoops. So if you go along the ridge there, where it's straight along the trail, and then it bulbs out a little bit.
Oh, right here,
yes, it bulbs out a little bit. I believe that portion is within CSU. Jackie, maybe you can clarify that. But the majority of the trail system, other than those connections, are within our property boundaries.
Yeah, so Heidi, like you mentioned, that trail will extend along the ridge line. That's actually the top of the hill that the trail will run parallel to. And then there's that extension that'll connect to the CSU East Bay Trail. And then the kind of wiggly portion of the trail that connects to our sidewalk. And then, of course, the connection to Carlos B.
Yes. Correct.
What's the plan for parking the 74 units with 31 ADUs? I meant in regards to street parking.
Jackie, do you have the exact number of street spaces? Maybe it's written here. Again, we have every home has a 2-car garage. The flat lot homes have a 3-car garage. 40 of the 74 homes have a full 2-car front apron. And then we have, I'll let Jackie maybe add up the street parking provided.
I don't know the street parking off the top of my head.
Yeah, no,
Certainly count those and provide that though.
I'm guessing that's another 40, so that would be 80, 140, another 8, 40. So get my calculator. I'm getting a rough estimate of 3.5. Is that right? 3.6 parking spaces per home average. Again, when the application goes in, we'll have exact numbers. But that the intent is that the ADU, the homes with ADUs have a 2-car garage and an apron and street parking. So if someone chooses to rent their home, the ADU, there's parking available. Or if it's just your boomerang child that's home from college, they have a place to park. But we intend not to burden the adjacent neighborhoods with our parking.
What about sidewalks on both sides of Maitland Drive? There's enough room for sidewalks on both sides.
We will follow the lead of the city's public works department and be good neighbors and do what we're asked to do.
Are the anticipated garages accommodating the ADUs?
The garages basically serve the residents. If a accessory dwelling unit is rented, then there would be street parking or driveway apron parking available.
Will there be a one-way traffic pattern from Bunker Hill to Carlos B?
No, we're widening the street for a city-approved standard 2-way street. So I believe it's 22 feet curb to curb, which is standard street width for 2 cars. Then the parking bays are on top of that. So it's about 30 feet for travel lanes and on-street parking, plus a sidewalk on top of that. So it's not intended to be a one-way street.
How do you propose rainwater to flow? Will it return to the top of the hill so flow will go slowly down the hill? I would prefer it not to go into sewer.
McKay and Somps, I'll let you run with this one.
Yep, our stormwater won't be going to the sewer. So as a part of the plan, it's a little bit difficult to see at this scale, but there are several different stormwater quality basins as required by California law. So we do have stormwater quality basins. All of our water will be treated and metered before it releases to the storm drain.
One proposed new home next to our property on Bunker Hill Drive will totally obstruct our existing view to the southeast. How would this be addressed?
Southeast to the southeast. Well, I'm not sure exactly what home that might be. We don't intend to block anybody's view. That's why we've put the taller homes on the uphill side and the lower homes on the lower side, so that even the existing home here or the existing home here will have views of the bay.
So I'm going to start just reading some of the comments. The questions
Okay.
coming in, but there's also comments that I just want to address, and then I'll answer. Still, there's no alternative access to development, and this is a fire hazard. And so these also came in at different times. So if you want to address one of these, let me know. If not, I'll just, mark it as answered and we can go.
Well, I'll just say that, the fire department is just involved as anybody else, if not number one, to work with to make sure it's a safe neighborhood. And we are pushing very strongly, again, to get this Carlos B access point so that not only would our residents be able to come in and out of the neighborhood and not affect the lower residents, but it gives all these existing residents another way out in case of an emergency. But we're always trying to have 2 points of egress in a new neighborhood, and that's the intention. But if for some reason Carlos B does not go through, we've already the CEQA has already vetted that this is a safe, would be a safe circulation pattern with only this one access point.
This is a comment along those same lines. No, a connection to Carlos B is not ideal for all, including the new residents. And if, as you consider that, the city needs to more smartly align it with Carlos B traffic light plan for just below Bunker Hill Court to access another new residential neighborhood, Parcel 6, just across north from Parcel 5.
Mm-hmm. Yes, traffic engineers, the city traffic engineer, we works to solve all these traffic concerns. And then we pay for a traffic consultant to work with the city's traffic engineer to study and refine and perfect to the best of our abilities the traffic situation. So it's not TrueMark, it's not up to TrueMark to tell how we're going to solve traffic. It's the city traffic engineer and the consultant that works with the traffic city engineer that we pay for it, but we don't make the decisions. We follow the directions.
Garrett, I just wanted to add to that too, the location that Bunker Hill Road is connecting to Carlos B right now, that distance is set by the city traffic engineer because of that intersection in question. So that's definitely something he's keeping in mind, and we have set that distance because of that exact issue.
Excellent. That's what I would expect.
Next. I would like to see the homes offset from the road as they were previously.
Like I said, we'll listen to what the city leaders ask us to do, but again, in the spirit of minimizing the impact of the hill, we want to keep the homes on the lower side closer to the street. This doesn't exactly show it as well, but these homes the garages are closer to the street than on this side, they're further back. And that's what we're proposing. We think that's the right thing to do.
I think you may have answered this in some form, but it's how will Central Boulevard handle increased traffic?
According to the CEQA traffic analysis that was done leading up to this project even before it came to TrueMark, impacts and mitigations were, I don't know how to say it, were approved or deemed satisfactory. So the traffic from 74 homes, I know it's an emotional change for the existing neighbors, but it's not a huge impact.
Kind of comments related to AD. Oh, are you going to say something, Heidi?
Yes, I was just going to talk to the traffic and the CEQA that was done, and going through the CEQA documents and what the city did prior to us coming on with the city on this project. There was no noted additional mitigations that would be required for traffic.
Okay, so there's also just a few questions on traffic. I'm just gonna kind of read like the next three because they're all kind of related, and so we can just kind of move past that issue. Mm-hmm. How can it not impact traffic? Central's one-lane road with parking on the street. Westview and Central are essentially one-lane roads. The new neighborhood will create a bottleneck at the Central Westview intersection. How would you address this? And then how can 10 to 20 cars currently on Bunker 74 homes times 2 cars equal 148 minimum cars, not increase traffic, and add renters who knows amount of cars. So yeah, these were all just kind of traffic related questions that I wanted to.
Absolutely. I hear the concerns in the questions, and again, it's the I don't want to say, I guess the burden or the discussion will be with the city's traffic engineer and our consultant to work out what is appropriate and what's best to handle the traffic. And again, it'll all change for the greater if we can get this Carlos B access to go through. Will relieve all traffic concerns, in my opinion. But we'll see. We'll see where that goes. We'll address it as the facts and traffic engineers come up with the appropriate solutions.
The Hayward general plan actually says no sidewalks in hill development. Another one was, as an aside, I support only one side street sidewalks.
Mm-hmm. I agree with those comments, but again, we'll work with city staff to do what they deem is right.
As we get closer to actual construction, how will you work with the neighborhood to ensure the least amount of disruption to the neighborhood? Also, how will you ensure damage is not done to existing streets and properties during construction?
That's a great question, very appropriate question. In every neighborhood, our operations personnel go out of their way to communicate with adjacent neighbors. In this case, it would be this whole neighborhood would be almost on speed dial to communicate daily, weekly activities of how things are going to cycle. Again, doing everything we can to get at least for sure construction access to come off of Carlos B, so that trucks and rigs aren't working through the Maitland neighborhood or any of those homes. And it's a constant communication that we go out of our way to make sure that we're communicating. And that goes for, and the city will make us, the city inspectors will notice any issues with street damage or curb damage or poles or anything. It's documented. And, honestly, if you live on Maitland and you see a truck run something over, you're going to complain about it, and it's going to be brought to our attention, and we're going to have to address it. It's standard practice to work with our neighbors.
We'll be also sending out before we start any type of site construction, we will be noticing all the neighbors. We'll be sending out 10 to 15 day notices to inform them of what type of work will occur, and appropriate traffic control plans and all of those things will be in place before any type of work commences.
Next comment was, this is not my 50-year history plan. It was zoned for agriculture and field Mission Foothills Task Force. The city has the chance to make millions of free dollars to accept this plan. When talking to city council, we expressed vigorously that improvements needed to be made to certain sections of roadway to accommodate any increase in traffic just north of Maitland and Central. What were you told and what are the plans?
Heidi or Jim, if your conversations address that yet. If not, I'm sure it will.
Trevor, I apologize. Would you please repeat that question?
Yeah, let me see. Well, quick answer on it. So it kind of went away.
Oh,
Oh, wait, no, here it is. I think when talking to City Council, we expressed vigorously that improvements needed to be made to certain sections of roadway to accommodate any increase in traffic, just north of Maitland and Central. What were you told and what are the plans?
Whoops. So for street improvements on Maitland Road, the improvements to Maitland Road will be, as Garrett had previously mentioned, we will be widening Maitland Road. So to accommodate the additional traffic there and the sidewalk, additional roads improvements to Central have not yet been determined, and that will be discussed and determined as we go through our process. Again, we're just submitting our initial application, and once we start getting comments back and we start working with the city on those details, more will be decided as the design moves forward.
Next, there needs to be a plan in place to control traffic for the safety of our neighborhood. We've already seen people speeding and hitting deer. Having people outside of the neighborhood cut through is not safe. Why is this not being considered?
traffic control is definitely a serious part of our operations, and will be addressed through the construction process. If we have to bring equipment through your neighborhood, then we will have safety protocols in place. Again, we're hoping to come from Carlos B.
Comment, Harder sees a lot of pedestrian traffic regardless. Let's see. Next one, very impressive work, beautiful homes, will significantly add to the value of the existing neighborhood as well as the city.
Thank you.
Can you summarize some of the benefits for existing residents to offset the considerable inconvenience the project would inflict upon us?
Well, I've been trying to point those out as far as upgraded sewer and water services, undergrounding those lines that we are asked to, improving pedestrian safety with sidewalks, improving guest parking and on-street parking maneuvers, and by clearly identifying where you park and where you're supposed to park and not park. I would say beautification from landscaping that will be homeowner association maintained in perpetuity. So every front yard will have a professional landscape architecture treatment and maintenance forever. And the HOA will also help maintain the quality of architecture. And I have to agree with the previous commenter that adding $74 million homes to your neighborhood should help everybody's property values as a benefit. So it's safety, it's aesthetic improvements, and utilities, and just neighborhood beautification. I'll call it that. Oh, and then there's city fees to consider, school fees, city fees, that we're not asking for anything for free, that we join your community and pay our way. And this goes a long way to benefit other programs in your city.
What is the intended speed limit for Bunker Hill and Maitland once the project is complete?
Jim, can you venture a guess?
I'm sorry, Trevor, what was the first part of that? You kind of broke up.
What's
the speed limit?
Yeah, speed limit.
What's the speed limit?
That'll be set by the city, but I would assume it'd be for typical residential neighborhoods of the 25 to 30 miles an hour.
Where does the storm drain go? I get water from the hill flow. Now it seems like your homes will stop that, right?
Yeah, actually on Bunker Hill Boulevard and Bunker Hill Court, right now there is no storm drain system. So we do anticipate those living in the area will see a increase in their a decrease in their stormwater runoff, an increase in the storm drain system being better. So that water will now be caught in the road instead of spilling onto your property. And then, like I mentioned previously, bioretention areas will clean that water, which water has not been cleaned to date. So that's an improvement.
Okay. This is a comment. You need to meet with the in-parcel homeowners directly, if possible.
Heidi is so good at working with the neighbors, and like I said, we have months ahead of us of communication, and we're happy to meet. This is the new normal, so it's probably going to be a Zoom call, and we're happy to talk.
25401 Bunker Hill Boulevard. I did clarify existing view, not just the view of the bay. The new house will totally block our southeast view.
Southeast view. Well, we'll have to. I'm not sure what location that is. We can take a note of it. And
there are numerous areas labeled open space. Once the project is complete, who's responsible for maintaining the open space? The city of Hayward?
Heidi, help me out if you can with this one. I'm not sure how we've worked that, if we have determined that yet.
So there will be a homeowners association for this project, and the homeowners association will be responsible for maintenance of, say for instance, the trail and open space area. We're also going to be creating a GAB for this project, which will provide more protection for more geological type of hazards that may be present, or just to ensure that nothing happens. And that's outside of the homeowners associations, it's extra protection. But for maintenance, the HOA will be maintaining those areas within the property boundaries.
And that was a question also, will an HOA be a part of the project?
Yes, yes.
Next question, will a recording of this call be made available?
We will provide it to staff. I'm not sure what staff will do with it.
Another comment was, why aren't our comments being added? But we began addressing or noting the comments also.
So I think there is a log, Trevor. This is our first Zoom neighborhood meeting, so I think we have it all recorded in writing.
Yeah, at first I was only reading the questions and not the comments, and then I started reading the comments also.
Gotcha. Okay, excellent.
It is said to currently a dangerous plan. How do you propose safety? Not sure what that refers to.
I think wider roads, detached sidewalks, right there is safer conditions. Undergrounding high wire electrical lines is safer. Putting new homes and new $1 million homes on a hillside. I know there has been discussions of homeless populations on this hillside. So there are things that we're doing that are improving the situation and making it safer for everybody.
And next, these two comments are together. It's not an emotional change, it's a safety issue, referring to traffic on Central, that is.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're not looking to make an unsafe condition. And if we're asked to improve an unsafe condition and make it safe, then that'll be worked into the conditions of approval and part of the project, I'm sure.
So landscaping on owners, or do you do it?
So we Heidi, correct me if I'm wrong, but we would install front yard landscaping and then the homeowners association will maintain it forever.
That's correct.
You can't make a downhill left turn out of your proposed Carlos B with access, out of your proposed Carlos B access without a traffic light. Is a traffic light planned there?
Not at this time, but I'm sure it'll be studied and addressed to be a safe intersection.
And maybe Jackie and Jim can expand on that based on our discussions with the city. Coming out of Carlos B, I believe it'll be a right-hand turn only, and then a right in. Jackie and Jim, would you mind, is that your understanding as well?
Yeah, that's our understanding right now. We're still in discussion with the traffic engineer. Because of the last comment that we got, the proximity to the other traffic signal that is planned, those distances to each other are a little too close to have two traffic signals that close together. So the traffic signal wasn't the direction he seemed like he wanted to go, but the maneuvering at that intersection is still in discussion.
Thank you.
As a good neighbor, would TrueMark be willing to reconsider working with the current homeowners to include us in the rezoning?
Garrett, I'd like to address that. That kind of gets back to the comment and discussion that I previously had with another property owner who was inquiring about the same thing. And unfortunately, we can't add other properties into our own individual application. It just doesn't work that way. You know, because then we would be getting other private property owners involved with our application. So that remains the answer to that question, is that the properties that are there are individual properties and not part of the overall development for Parcel 5.
Next, we were told the Carlos B is in danger, so please stop pushing it. People living above the college and on campus would be in danger, notwithstanding the cars coming out where you want.
Thanks for your comment.
Next question, will construction start early AM? If so, what time?
All of our construction operations these days have set times based on the community, and you know, we prefer to start at 7 a.m., but some communities tell us no, so it's on a case-by-case basis, and we'll work with staff to do what this community asks.
During development, will TrueMark need access for heavy equipment onto the current homeowner's property?
No, we will keep heavy equipment on our property.
People live on streets other than Maitland and Westview. Please include us.
I'm sorry, you kind of broke up there on me, Trevor. Include them for what?
That's the end of the shop. It just says, please. It says people live on other streets other than Bunker and Maitland and Westview. Please include us.
Oh, in notifications and communications? Sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It doesn't specify, but
okay.
We did send a notice for this meeting to all of the owners within 500 feet of the property site. Just
gotcha. So, okay. Yeah.
Will the trail have safety like never before?
We'll have what kind of safety?
Lights.
Oh, I don't know if we've gone that far, and we'd have to look at what lighting might be already along the university edge. I'm sure, Heidi, have you had discussions about that yet?
We haven't had discussions on those type of specific details, but you know, any lighting, if it is required, it's going to have to be important that it's not going to impact those homeowners that that are up there on the upper hillside. Again, there's lights there at the university too, so those details will be worked out with HARD and the city. At this point, we don't know if any lights are going to be required, but if they are, we're going to really have to look at that so we don't impact the residents.
No questions other than those in advance. Thanks for lots of good answers to my questions and a great presentation. Hope I can get a copy of the visuals. Thanks.
Mhm.
You recently had an arborist in the neighborhood. Any chance we'll be able to keep some of the trees and other unique plant life that we currently have?
I think I can address that. I've been working with our arborist on a regular basis, and yes, we have had an arborist out there. And you know, we want to retain as many trees as we can. Of course, the trees that are going to be removed are going to be removed to accommodate the development. As Garrett mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, there's 2 riparian forests that are there. One of them is located at the northern part of the site by Carlos B, and the other one down by Harder. And that area, those riparian areas will be untouched. And we've made it a point to make sure that there are going to be no impacts to those trees, those streams, or anything of that nature. The trees that are on the site, again, we will have to, that will be determined by the development. Our arborist has been out there tagging all of the trees, numbering them, noting what type of trees they are, the health that the trees are in, and all of those things will become a factor on which trees have to remain and which trees will be removed. And then, of course, we'll be working with the city on any type of impacts that that may have. As far as special plant species, we've had 3 special plant species surveys done. The first, we had a spring survey done, and then we've had one, a summer one. I think the other one either happened this week or it's going to be happening next week. The 2 surveys showed that there was no mitigation or plants, what is identified as a special species plant noted there. So again, we're having the last summer survey done to see what, if anything, has bloomed. I hope that answers the question.
And keep in mind, we will re-landscape all of the front yards with new trees that are appropriate to this climate and have the best chance of survival and growth and improve. You know, I hate to ever take out a tree at all. They're definite assets to the community. And sometimes you just have to, but we mitigate that with replacement trees of high quality, you know, appropriate trees.
Right.
Overall, I think you've done a good job of meeting the requests made by the city, especially when it comes to ensuring downhill properties do not block the views of uphill properties. Also working with the landscape and trying to keep open space between the homes.
I agree. Agreed completely.
I was told directly by the TrueMark team in meeting with Jennifer Ott that TrueMark would not be using cookie cutter homes and these homes would be unique. They'll all be unique to each other. At this point, it seems like TrueMark is going back on their word, especially noting through traffic and increased ADUs.
I'm sorry you feel that way, but I believe at the end of the day, the architecture will be of high quality, of the highest quality that Hayward has seen.
Next one. I'm sorry, but by increasing the ADUs, it appears that TrueMark is trying to maximize profits versus keeping our neighborhood safe, and that it will only take up more parking and add more traffic to our surrounding areas. We don't think it's a good thing. Are you willing to go back your anticipated 31 ADUs to 8 ADUs?
Let's just say it's a conversation that I think we'll be having for the months ahead, and we'll see where it goes. And again, whether it's a 5-bedroom house or a 4-bedroom house with an accessory dwelling unit, to me, it's the same. It's the same number of bedrooms. But let's have that. We'll continue the conversation.
I believe you plan to do quality. That said, and I hope you say this, you can't control the residents, right?
We don't control the residents. We don't control the city. We're partnering with you. We're here to partner with you and build the plan that you've already put out there. We're just here to build it. That's where we're coming from. And we want to do the best job we can, as always.
sorry, but you didn't answer my question in terms of increased traffic. I wasn't asking about your equipment. I was referring to when, after the project is complete and all the homes are sold and occupied, increased traffic from people outside of this area will increase a traffic safety risk, i.e. speeding, hitting deer.
I'm not sure how to address that other than, as always, we follow the lead of our traffic engineers and the traffic professionals that put these neighborhoods together and study the safety and traffic. And if there's a way to hit one less deer, I'm all ears. I'm all for it.
Next one. This is Jennifer Ott, Deputy City Manager. We are happy to post the presentation and recording of the meeting on our 238 property webpage.
Excellent. Thank you.
Will TrueMark be willing to meet with us neighbors prior to the rezoning application submittal?
Excuse me, Garrett, we're planning on making our submittal in the next few weeks. So timing wise, I'm not sure if we'll be able to meet with them ahead of time. We may be able to have a few Zoom calls. We're happy to accommodate that, but it's just a matter of time because we're trying to get that application into the city.
And just because we submit doesn't mean there can't be changes and discussions. There will be discussions and revisions for the next months ahead. And we'll have, and so whether we meet tomorrow or a month from now, yes, we're willing to meet. Always.
Who do we speak with, i.e. HARD, as HARD could be maintaining that trail?
Are they asking for specific names of who to speak with?
Just says, who do we speak with, i.e. HARD?
Okay, if we can get that comment and we can go back and address that. I don't have the name right in front of me, but I'm happy to provide that information.
Yeah, so the person who asked the question asked it anonymously, so couldn't follow up unless they asked it again, not anonymously. Excellent.
I'm sure if they reached out to HARD, they would be able to find a contact person. Again, I apologize, but I don't have that person's name in front of me.
Or if they could email myself or Heidi at the email address posted here. If you could jot that down, email us, and we'll be able happily to communicate one-on-one.
Yep.
Excellent first start. I look forward to working with you all as the project evolves.
Thank you. Likewise.
I'm sorry, the Carlos B exit is the dangerous way.
Okay.
Have you walked the neighborhood? Westview, Central? Many of us like to take walks with our kids and pets. We are concerned about the traffic.
I hear you. And yes, I have. And I understand your concerns.
Will there be butterfly, hummingbird, bee native plants on your installation? We need these replanted because your project takes away a lot.
I think that's an interesting comment. Rusty, our landscape architect, I'm sure he can make note of that and work with city staff if there's a plant materials that attract those animals or insects and birds, then I'm all open for it.
Will all current residents still be allowed to walk in the open spaces or sidewalks if an HOA is maintaining / presiding over it?
Yes, this will be open, publicly accessible sidewalks and the trail. I don't think anybody wants people walking in the open space in the riparian sensitive habitats. We're not going to encourage that anyway. But the sidewalks and trails, yes, those are open.
We have a few more questions. We're going to try to wrap it up by 7:30. Let me just breeze through these last few.
I think that's wise.
Also, the existing housing seems to be a great example of the number of cars per household. And if you've been in the neighborhood, you can see it's much greater than the something you're proposing. Comment?
That's a fair comment. We'll work with people to get it just right.
When you are building around 4 in-parcel homes, no for 7 a.m. starts. I didn't type whether or not you would keep your equipment on our property. I asked if you would need access to our properties with your heavy equipment for development.
Possibly, I guess. You know, some of the home sites that we'll be working closely around, we might have to ask your permission. We're not going to go on your property without asking for your permission. And if we can avoid it, we will, for sure. And if there's a necessity, then we will come to you and ask if we can touch any part of your property before we do so.
No current trail, no current lights. Lights were because of people camping out there.
Good comment.
What about the endangered species that live in the hill? 3 are listed as endangered by Fed standards.
I'm sure that was addressed in CEQA.
Yes, it was addressed in the overall CEQA that was performed and done by the city prior to TrueMark coming on. And then we did specific biological surveys that I addressed prior with on Bunker Hill for Parcel 5. So within Parcel 5, there are no special status species that have to be mitigated for.
Will any factors other than just construction access influence what trees are kept, i.e. the ones that have grown up as weed, red pepper trees?
Again, I think our arborist is addressing that, and the trees that will be removed and replaced with new trees will all be determined by that arborist report and by the development plan and through the city. So at this point, we really can't provide an answer to that.
Thank you for starting this conversation with the neighborhood. My point about deer hitting directly correlates to the potential of people being hit by children. This should be a safe area where people can walk and children can play. Sorry, I wasn't clear.
I agree completely. And with that, why don't we call it a successful first meeting? It's been a pleasure to virtually have a meeting. I look forward to meeting you all, and I appreciate all your interest and love of your community, and we're here to be good neighbors and work with you moving forward. And again, it's just a first outreach, and we will have many more, and you have our contact information right here, and we'll continue to work. Heidi, any closing remarks?
No, thank you everybody for joining, and thank you for our team for being here for the presentation. And like Garrett said, we're here to answer any questions and work with you throughout the entire process.
All right, then till next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.